Young Americans age 18 to 34 will play a pivotal role in the 2024 presidential election rematch between President Biden and former President Trump. New data shows 55% of these voters participated in the 2020 election, and the number of voters is expected to rise come this November. Well, let's discuss with the co-chair of the RNC Youth Advisory Council. He's also the author of an awesome brand new book. It is called One Generation Away, Brilyn Hollyhand. And also with us is first-time voter Carolyn Joyous. We're so happy to have you guys here. Brilyn, I said this to you that I thought I was doing well, and then I realized at age 11, you started doing, it's the Truth Gazette. You've interviewed the who's who. How did you get involved so much in the voting process and care so much about this country? I love it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you. First of all, thanks for having us on. It's an honor to be here. I couldn't be happier to be on the #1 show on Saturdays with the great Rita Cosby. So it's an honor. Thank you for having us. You know, see, I started this in the past 7 years. I spent the past 7 years traveling the country, talking with as many Americans as I could and listening to even more. And Rita, what I've heard from, our citizens is not something that's going to surprise you or any of your audience at home today. It's that Americans don't have hope in our future. Americans don't see a future of America. They don't believe that there's going to be a free America for my generation and generations to follow to grow up in. And that's why I wrote this book. I mean, we really, really, really want to inspire hope. We want to start that revival. As you know, this is the 20th anniversary of Ronald Reagan's passing. His famous quote, "Freedom is one generation away from extinction," is the namesake of this book. And that's why we think it's so important for all of your audience to go to brylynbook.com to buy their copy, or anywhere books are sold. You can pre-order your copy right now. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everywhere. It'll come out July 9th. And we just appreciate you having us here. We're excited.
Well, and I am very proud of you with your book. You have interviewed the who's who. I was like, oh my God, we all have competition with you, Brilyn, which is great. Caroline, how did you get so involved, and what are your plans? Because you said this is a first time for you. Why are you galvanized, and what about your peers out there, Carolyn?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us on today. It's such an honor to be here with you guys. Both of you are incredible. But I have to say, I really first got involved back in 2020 when the government decided that they needed to shut down churches. They decided that our religious liberty was non-essential. And as someone who is a granddaughter of a pastor and a daughter of small business owners, it became really clear to me very quickly that our freedom was under attack in very personal ways, like nothing I'd ever experienced before. And I looked around at my generation, and it seemed that hardly anybody was awake to what was going on. So I started, getting online, following along to different people that were even older than me that were speaking out. And I was like, okay, our generation needs young people doing this. I got involved, and yeah, that's kind of how it started. I think my generation is, honestly, like Brilyn said, I haven't given up hope on Gen Z. I think that Gen Z is desperate for truth. They are searching for truth. Now, the media is oversaturated with lies. It's hard to get the truth to them. That's what we're here to do as young people, is to reach out to my generation, speak to my peers, and get the truth to them. But absolutely, I have not given up hope for Gen Z.
That's great to hear. And I'm so happy to see so many younger voters coming out. Brilyn, also young men, ages 40 and under, are trending more towards former President Trump. He leads 51 to 41% of the vote in this category. And it's interesting, you also advised, you were sort of helping Katie Britt. I love that you had your input
Yes.
there in the famous State of the Union rebuttal. Why do you think young men are also flocking to President Trump? And do you think we're going to see a bigger turnout this November than ever before? That's sort of bringing in the next generation, as your book so beautifully epitomizes.
Well, thank you. Yes, absolutely. No, I think this is going to be record turnout. And also, a Republican candidate hasn't won the youth vote in decades, but I absolutely think it's possible this November. Listen, this time last year, we founded the inaugural Youth Advisory Council. It all started after the 2022 midterms, where Republicans kind of underperformed. That's no surprise to any of us. And I thought the problem was our national party's lack of youth engagement. And I said, look, we have to give Gen Z a seat at the table. But Rita, there was one problem. There was no table for Gen Z to sit at. So we met with the National Party. We curated that Gen Z Youth Advisory Council to, invite young voices across the country to speak on. And we're so excited. We couldn't be more excited right now with the, the new leadership of the RNC. The future's looking really bright. And now to register these youth voters that are turning towards President Trump, we get to work directly with President Trump's family, which is so exciting. But your previous segment was on how, Latino voters are not, voting for President Biden anymore. They're kind of turning away after 2020. But also, President Biden is drastically losing my generation. I was talking to somebody last night and I said, look, the talk is March Madness right now. Everybody's talking about March Madness. There's even games going on in New York. But before, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris keep talking about their March Madness brackets on Twitter, trying to win over voters, they really need to worry about the madness at the southern border. Because we have a border czar, Kamala Harris, who has refused to go to the southern border, that's refused to address the crisis. And that's really affecting my generation. We talked about the Lincoln Riley situation. We're realizing that Biden's policies are failures, and we're going to vote him out in November.
Wow. Well, I love your enthusiasm. I love your energy, and I love your love of country. I want to put up your book again, too. It's One Generation Away, and it just came out. Brilyn, we're so proud of you, and epitomizing, of course, Reagan's famous speech. And great to see both of the enthusiasm on both of your parts. I love it. It's so exciting. It makes me so happy to be an American. And I love seeing young people get out to the polls. Thank you guys very much. Brilyn Hollyhand and also Caroline Joyous. Thank you very much, guys. Very much.
Thank you so much for having us. Have a great weekend.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you. Thank you.